everybody, Sean from Media Assault here, and this is going to be a review of a movie that I would say is too cheap to miss, and that's going to kick off the newly renamed Bargain Bin Reviews. I realize that somebody else is using that name and I don't want to use it, so I'm going to call this Too Cheap to Miss. And this week, for the inaugural episode, is Escape from New York from John Carpenter, and this was released in 1981. And as you may or may not be able to see, this is Kurt Russell as Snake Plissken, the anti-hero main character. A couple of things about this movie that are kind of unique. This was made by John Carpenter in 1981, or at least it was released in 1981. It takes place in 1997 in New York, and the World Trade Center is prominently featured. The plot basically goes like this. In the future, or of course this being 2010, the now future past, but in 1988, according to this film's history, the crime rate of the United States has gone up by 400%. So the island of Manhattan has been turned into a prison, surrounded by a 50-foot wall, a containment wall. And basically what happens is it is the main, and I believe only, prison for the United States. So if you're sentenced to go there, you're dumped inside, and once you're in, you don't come out. There are no guards inside. It's basically you fend for yourself. So the movie takes place in 1997, about 9 years after this prison is constructed. And we see Snake Plissken being brought to the, I guess, the internment center to be made a prisoner. And simultaneously, the president's plane, Air Force One, is being hijacked by some, I believe they're called the Liberation Army of the Americas or something like that. Anyway, they basically crash Air Force One into New York to kill the president, to protest the police state that America has become. But the president is put inside what's called an escape pod, and he survives the crash. So Plissken, rather than being sent into the prison as an inmate, is sent in to rescue the president. He's a former Special Forces soldier who's turned to a life of crime, and basically doesn't care for humanity at all. So he's sent inside the prison, but not as an inmate. He's in to rescue the president, because the president is carrying something that is very important to a summit meeting. Apparently there's a war going on between China, the United States, and Russia, and there is a cassette tape, that he's carrying that contains some special information that would help end the war between these different countries. So Snake is basically, he is put in a glider, and the glider is towed into the air and then launched, and he is to land on top of the World Trade Center so he won't be detected by the criminals who are below, and he can make it down to the 50th floor by elevator, but then he's on his own. And this is kind of a unique movie because watching it now, I originally saw it when it was in the theaters in 1981. But watching it now, it's kind of funny to see this vision of the future and how kind of laughably dated it is now. But the movie itself, the core of the actual plot and the action sequences and whatnot, it's pretty good. Kurt Russell, who at this point in his career was not known for versatility, he was probably better known for the movies he'd made for Walt Disney, and I can't think of any of the titles off the top of my head, but he was a child star for the Disney people, and him playing a tough guy, for one, was probably thought to be out of the ordinary. To be playing a character like Snake Plissken was even more out of the ordinary. So this was kind of a career-defining moment for him, because it put him into a different echelon of characters that he could be portraying. And this was a different type of movie for John Carpenter, who up to this point had done Halloween in 1978 and The Fog in 1980. This wasn't a horror movie. This was more of a science fiction type film. Carpenter had also done Assault on Precinct 13, but his big movie, of course, was Halloween, and then he followed that up with The Fog. So this was a different type of thing for him, too. There is a great cast in this film. Not only do you have Kurt Russell as Snake Plissken, you've got Lee Van Cleef, who's known for his spaghetti westerns. He's in it playing Houck, who is the police commissioner who sends Plissken in to rescue the president. You've got Harry Dean Stanton playing Brain, one of the inmates inside the prison, who actually happens to be fairly prominent in the rescue effort that Plissken has. You've got Isaac Hayes playing the Duke of New York, who is sort of the biggest and baddest guy inside the prison, and he's the one that actually has custody of the president, and he's the one that Snake has to defeat to get the president. Who else is in this film? Adrienne Barbeau is in this film, and at the time she was actually married to John Carpenter. Speaking of wives, we've also got Susan Hubley is in this movie for a brief minute, and he was actually married, or she was actually married to Kurt Russell at the time. She's credited as the girl in Chock full of Nuts, which was a coffee house back then. The version that I have here, this is, and like I said, this is part of the Too Cheap to Miss series that I'm starting here on Media Assault. So I picked this up for $8 used, and this is the special edition. And you can see it's kind of got a metallic look to it, but it's kind of interesting. This opens up, and you've got a message from John Carpenter here, talking about how the film was filmed in 1980 in St. Louis and New York. Opens up. You've got 2 discs. One is the features, one is the actual film. This is disc 1, feature film. Disc 2 is the special features. And the special features on this disc, you've got a new high-definition film transfer, 5.1 surround audio, the deleted scene, which is the original opening, the bank robbery sequence, which originally was only available on the Laserdisc, a return to Escape from New York featurette, 2 feature-length audio commentaries, liner notes by John Carpenter. I showed you a little bit of that. The making of John Carpenter's Snake Plissken Chronicles, which is a comic book. And there's actually a comic book included in this, and I got lucky. I got a fairly complete version of this. There's a little comic book that comes with it. I'll show you some of the artwork, which is kind of cool. We've got some signatures down here. See if I can show you a decent piece of art in this. There you go. This is kind of cool. And then one of the unique things that I found inside this, which I hadn't heard of before, is there's this advertisement for John Carpenter's Snake Plissken Escape. The game is on, introducing the legendary anti-hero to video games, coming 2005 AD. And it directs you to a website, escapegame.com. And this was a video game that was going to be developed by Namco, the people who brought us Tekken and Pac-Man. Still waiting for that game, so I don't know what's going on with that. So if you like John Carpenter films and you haven't seen this one, I highly recommend that you do. Make sure you clear up that blemish on your film viewing list. And just kind of enjoy this movie, because it's worth seeing. Escape from New York, definitely a movie too cheap to miss. So check it out. And of course you can always check out all the other reviews that I have here on the Media Assault channel on YouTube. And of course visit my website at media-assault.com, for many more music, movie, and video game reviews. So subscribe for more reviews, subscribe for more videos, and we'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.